The Milwaukee Bucks have found themselves in a comfortable spot to start the season, having a record of 3-1. As of this recording, they recently won an impressive match against the Knicks, and have proven to be a formidable foe. Of course, there are several factors that stand out, from Ryan Rollins and Cole Anthony making their mark early, to Miles Turner helping Milwaukee's defense big time. But even with all of this, the Bucks are riding off of one man's impact, as you all would expect. That man is, unsurprisingly, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis cannot be off to a better start, averaging 30.63 points per game while shooting 69.5% from the field, along with 14 rebounds and 7 assists. What makes this even more impressive is that he's doing all of this while maintaining a 35.6 usage rate, which according to the NBA website is the highest usage rate in the league. The statistics don't stop there though, as it's not just Giannis being a dominant force individually, the entire team is affected as well. According to Cleaning the Glass, with Giannis on the court, Milwaukee's points per 100 possessions is at an astounding 125.7 points per game. Whenever he's off the floor, the Bucks' points per 100 possessions goes down to 108 points per game, a drastic decrease of 17.7%. Another category that rises is the Bucks' effective field goal percentage, as with Giannis on the court, it's at an incredible 62.5%, which is ranked at the 98th percentile. To clarify for those unaware with the terminology, just know that to be around 98th percentile or closer is really good. That essentially means what Giannis is providing for that effective field goal percentage is better than 98% of other players at his position. He pretty much reached that top 2%. And while these analytics showcase how tremendous Giannis has been so far, these numbers don't happen without the actual play. How has Giannis gained his success on both sides of the court? What plays is he making? And furthermore, why is no one talking about it? In this video, I want to cover all of that, starting with his offense. Ultimately, one of the main factors in how Giannis is such an elite offensive prowess is his driving game. Not a surprise to anyone, it's well known how much damage Antetokounmpo can do inside, as he's pretty much doing it again this season. However, I feel like what gets lost about Giannis' driving is that there's a lot more nuance to it. Yes, he can simply push defenders away with his strength, but to say that's all there is isn't an accurate depiction. When watching most of his drives, I find that he masters a bunch of underrated aspects, traits that require a lot of skill. You can see him finding the right angles and being very deceptive with his acceleration. In addition, Giannis makes very nice use of his shoulder when driving in order to give himself more room, and to top it off, when he's about to lay the ball up, he always makes sure the ball is out of the defender's reach. Not to mention, he still has great hang time, so combine all of that with the fact that he takes up so much space with only 1 or 2 steps, and you've got yourself an unstoppable force. Here he sizes up Hukporti and decides to charge left. This gives Hukporti the impression that a straight drive is happening, so he prepares for that with Josh Hart also waiting to help. However, as soon as Giannis feels Hukporti's forearm near his hip, he decides to smoothly spin around and get the and one. Here, Giannis gets the ball in transition with Sarr keeping pace. However, Antetokounmpo notices Sarr is too close and is not in the best position. Seeing this, Giannis decides to take advantage by feinting right before quickly crossing over to his left. This makes Sarr reach in, which leads to open space on the left lane. And as Giannis is driving, he smartly slows down just enough on the second step to get Sarr up in the air and lay the ball in. This is one of my favorite plays because when Giannis immediately puts the ball down, he dribbles to his right hand. This gives him enough space to use his left shoulder to absorb and get past Allen's contact, and while he's in the air, he has the athleticism to perform a mini double clutch layup, and it's just enough to avoid both Allen and Mobley's contests. This mix of finesse and brute force that Giannis had gained over the years results in what you see from the Greek Freak as of this moment. Just constantly overpowering defenders in many ways, and simply being unfair whenever he goes downhill. Speaking of downhill, I'd say that's a nice transition towards another element that favors Giannis' style of play. More fast break opportunities for the Bucks. As of this recording, Milwaukee is averaging 11.9 fast break points per game, according to the NBA website. Now at first glance, this doesn't seem too special considering this gets them 19th in the league. However, when we look at the situation Milwaukee was in before in terms of fast break offense, I say this is quite the improvement, because last season they were near the bottom in pushing the pace, ranked 27th in fast break points per game. It's no secret that the team back then did not have the proper personnel for an up-tempo style of play, but with the offseason changes, we're starting to see a different scenario, a scenario that encourages more fast break Giannis. Add the fact that Milwaukee still has plenty of time to execute better in transition, and they can possibly end up above league average. Another feature I really like about Giannis' game has been his playmaking. If you followed Antetokounmpo's progress over the years, then you would know that this isn't anything new. The passing we're seeing from him now is miles better than what it was 5 or 6 years ago. However, I still think this is worth bringing up because not only is it an attribute that kinda gets lost underneath all of that scoring goodness, it's something that I feel like Giannis has gotten a much better sense of. What I mean by that is I believe Giannis has finally figured out how powerful his scoring gravity really is. Like, he recognizes how many defenders are willing to close in on him because of how effective he is with his scoring ability. In years past, defenses still sent double teams and traps, but Antetokounmpo was always a bit slow to recognize the situation around him. Nowadays, he's much better at seeing the floor. He can identify what the defenses are planning, who would be left open once he drives. Overall, he gives off an increased sense of patience that I hadn't seen previously. Doesn't matter if it's a simple kick out to the perimeter or throwing to the other side of the court, because he knows 2 guys will be on him, which will get the defensive rotations in a frenzy. It just seems like he knows what's going to happen next, and essentially, he's completed that last step in being a proper floor general and commanding that offense. Here's a nice example as he gets the ball to face Scottie. While he turns around, Ingram instantly runs over to provide help. Giannis does see him out of the corner of his eye but doesn't panic. Instead, he gets to dribbling and acts as if he's driving left, which prompts Ingram to come in and double. But the thing is, Giannis knew that double was arriving, and once he spins around, he sees that Derry Bird is open for a 3 since BI left him that much space. Now here's a guy who'll make an underrated pass as he'll receive the ball for the post-up. As he takes his time backing down the smaller Hunter, he senses Mobley waiting for the opportunity to trap. But again, Giannis isn't rushing and continues to back down while waiting for any open cutters. When he tries to spin around, Mobley actually times his double nicely, but Giannis immediately recognizes that Bobby is open because of this, so he dumps the ball where Bobby can get it, and an easy 2 occurs. Last example here as time is running out with Milwaukee up by 7. Giannis realizes AJ has no room, so he opts for a ghost screen at the top of the left wing. When Giannis has the ball, all of OG, Cat, and Mikhail recognize that Giannis has space to drive right and force some trouble. What they don't recognize though is Trent Jr. being unaccounted for because all 3 of them are in the paint, and as a result, GTJ hits the dagger. Again, what you see from these plays aren't anything flashy, but they're all results of Giannis predicting what the defense is going to give him, and oh man, he's taking full advantage of it. Those are the main takeaways from Antetokounmpo's offense I really enjoyed, but there are a couple more worth noting. One of them is how Milwaukee is trying other ways to find different looks for Giannis rather than just have him bring the ball up every time. A way of doing this is having him be the screen setter way more. Now to clarify, setting screens obviously isn't anything new, but most of Milwaukee's screen actions I've seen in the past are always performed by the guards. The point guard or shooting guard will come up, perform a flat screen, and it leads to Giannis attacking the lane or a catch and shoot opportunity. They still do this currently, but this season there seems to be more of an emphasis on having Giannis performing these picks. Some of them are the usual hard hitters, others are ghost screens. It's pretty interesting to watch. Albeit it isn't perfect as there are definitely mixed results, but I could see the purpose, trying to get some pressure off of Giannis' shoulders. Another implementation, and this only happened recently, so I'm not sure how frequent this might be, but having Giannis attack off the dribble more is something I'm very fond of. I've seen it a lot in that Knicks game, a few times in Cleveland as well, but having Antetokounmpo getting a full head of steam through the open space provided by the penetration of either Anthony or Rollins is a huge benefit. Despite that positive, I do have to mention this wouldn't really work if Rollins or Anthony are called from the field, but so far that ain't the case. By the looks of it, we might see more of this. Last but not least, not as many mid-range attempts as I initially expected, and from the few we've seen, they definitely weren't automatic. But I think eventually we'll see him ease into it as the season goes on, and I only bring this up because the mid-range is what elevated Antetokounmpo into a different level, especially the past season, so hoping we'll see more of that. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, and man, I can't get over how potentially scary he and Miles might be together. Because normally it's rare for opposing players to challenge Giannis one-on-one or involve him in a pick and roll scheme because of his sheer length and physicality, so that ends up with Turner being the main target for that task. The only problem is, not only has Turner established himself as a valuable anchor and an elite rim protector, Giannis is also there as a help defender. So even if someone somehow managed to get around Turner's drop coverage, which again, not an easy objective, Giannis will be there and just his presence alone can deter any chances of scoring. If this frontcourt can be managed correctly, the amount of drives and paint touches Milwaukee will limit can be enormous. Now, I would be lying if I stated that everything Giannis is doing defensively is perfect. He's also had his fair share of miscues. Sometimes it's losing sight of his man, or getting too deep with his help coverage, which does end up in open shot attempts. But those are only a few negatives compared to the many other positives he's providing out there. I'm still very excited for what Giannis and Turner can do, plus the Greek Freak can still get you a block and steal in almost every game. So overall, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been fantastic, amazing, whatever word you want to describe him. He's been all of that. Yet despite the unreal production, there hasn't been much buzz at all from most of the NBA community. Yes, I'm aware it's 4 games into the season, but it still feels like whenever Giannis has these types of nights, it gets swept under the rug. I suppose it's because Antetokounmpo has done this so much time to time, year after year, that many look at his stat lines and shrug it off as if it's normal. Unfortunately, he's not the only one. That seems to be the case with a lot of star players, but with Giannis, it just feels different. And it's a shame because these types of players are truly generational. I always have so much fun watching him. Still, it was a lot of fun covering the Greek Freak. Milwaukee is 3-1, and they have a relatively nice schedule coming up, so things could be looking even better for them later on. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts and feelings on Giannis, the Bucks, or this video? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.